Okay, everyone, and welcome. Today we're talking about something that's honestly a make-or-break issue for every single nonprofit out there, protecting donor data. Look, this isn't just some IT headache, it's right at the heart of your mission. Because if you lose your donors' trust, you risk losing everything. So let's get into it and figure out how to build your digital fortress.
So just how big of a deal is this? Well, take a look at this number. A mind-boggling 68% of nonprofits have been hit by data breaches in just the last 3 years. That's more than 2/3. This isn't some distant threat. It's happening all around us, to organizations just like yours. And when it does happen, the fallout is, well, it's brutal. The average cost of a data breach here in the US is nearly $9.5 million. For most of us in the nonprofit world, a hit like that isn't just a setback, it's game over. The bottom line is, we just can't afford to look the other way.
All right, deep breath. I know those numbers are a lot. They're scary. But here's the good news. This is a fight you can actually win. The threat is 100% real, but you absolutely have the power to build a strong, effective defense to protect your data, your donors, and your mission.
And we're going to build that defense using a really solid 5-step plan. Think of these as the blueprints for your fortress. First, we'll encrypt your data. Then, we'll control who gets access. We'll talk about regular audits, keeping your systems updated, and finally, training your team. Which, spoiler alert, might just be the most important piece of the puzzle. Let's start at the foundation.
Okay, step 1, encryption. This is literally the main wall of your digital fortress. It's your first and maybe your most powerful line of defense against anyone trying to get their hands on your sensitive donor info.
So what is encryption? Really? Well, think of it like this. It's a process that basically scrambles your data. It turns readable stuff, names, credit card numbers, into complete and utter gibberish. The only way to unscramble it and make it readable again is with a specific, secret decryption key. Without that key, the data is totally useless to a hacker.
Now, here's where it gets really important. It's not enough to just encrypt things once. You have 2 situations to worry about. First is data at rest. That's all the info just kind of sitting on your servers or on a laptop. Then you have data in transit. This is the active stuff, like when a donor fills out your online donation form and hits submit. Both of these have to be encrypted and locked down tight.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Look at what Google Cloud has to say. Encrypting data while it's moving basically creates a secure, private tunnel for it to travel through. It protects it from anyone snooping around on the network. This really gets to the heart of why it's so fundamental. So we've built our wall with encryption. Now what? Well, you've got to be super careful about who you give the keys to. And that's what step 2 is all about, controlling access. We're talking about guarding the keys to the kingdom. Now, the smartest way to do this is with a system called Role-Based Access Control, or RBAC for short. The idea is actually super simple. People only get access to the data they absolutely need to do their jobs, nothing more. Your volunteer coordinator doesn't need to see detailed donor financials, and the finance team doesn't need to see volunteer schedules. It's about giving out the minimum access required.
But even if you get the roles right, you need good locks on the doors. And you guys, this is a huge security gap in the nonprofit world. A whopping 56% of organizations don't use what's called multi-factor authentication, or MFA. That is honestly like building a fortress and then just leaving the front door wide open.
And just look at how powerful this one little change can be. Implementing MFA can block 99.9% of attempts to compromise an account. Let that sink in for a second. 99.9%. It is probably the single most effective security step you can take. Seriously, if you do just one thing after watching this, make it this.
Okay, so a fortress isn't something you just build and then walk away from, right? Threats are always changing, which means your defenses have to evolve too. And that brings us to steps 3 and 4, which are all about the ongoing work of maintaining your defenses through audits and updates.
This is all about being proactive, not reactive. You should be running security audits at least twice a year to find weak spots before the bad guys do. You've got to practice good data hygiene, like cleaning out old records that are just sitting there creating risk. And this is critical. When a security patch is released, you need to apply it immediately. Hackers pounce on those known flaws. Automating your updates is the best way to make sure nothing slips through the cracks.
Now, after all this talk about technology, encryption, access controls, software patches, I want you to stop and ask yourself a question. What do you think your organization's single biggest security weakness is? The answer probably isn't what you think.
The answer?
It's us. It's people. An absolutely stunning 88% of all data breaches involve some kind of human error. It could be a weak password, clicking on a phishing email, misplacing a device, you name it. Your technology can be perfect, but it can all be brought down by one simple, honest mistake.
And that leads us perfectly into our final, and I'd argue most important step, building a security culture. This is about flipping the script. Your team isn't your biggest weakness. With the right support and training, they can become your strongest asset, your true first line of defense.
But here's the problem. Right now, 60% of nonprofits have no cybersecurity training programs for their staff. None. That is a massive blind spot. We can't expect our teams to be a strong defense if we never give them the tools or the knowledge to do it.
So how do you build up this human firewall? With practical, hands-on training. As Phishing Tackle points out, things like simulated phishing tests combined with real training helps your team learn to spot threats in the wild. It builds muscle memory and a culture of vigilance.
And I love this quote from ethical hacker Rob Shapland. The best defense in a worst-case scenario is knowing what you need to do. It's all about having a plan before you need it. When something goes wrong, does everyone know who to call? What are the first steps? Knowing this ahead of time can dramatically reduce the damage from a breach.
Okay, let's bring this all together. At the end of the day, all of these steps, the encryption, the access controls, the audits, the training, they all serve one bigger purpose. Protecting your data isn't just about protecting data. It's about protecting the trust your donors have placed in you. And that trust is the fuel that powers your entire mission.
I know this can feel overwhelming, but you can start today with a few simple, high-impact actions. Do a basic security audit to find your biggest risks. Implement a strong password policy and turn on multi-factor authentication everywhere you can. Double-check that your donor database is encrypted. And schedule your first cybersecurity training. These steps alone will immediately make you safer.
So I'll leave you with this one final thought. If your organization was hit with a data breach tomorrow, are you truly prepared? Is your team ready? Is your mission protected? The time to answer that question is now, before the crisis hits. Thanks for watching.